experience you had while at the Manship school, where you work now, and how you got your first job after that.
I guess I'll start. My name is Alicia Hoffman. I graduated in 2011 PR. I did quite a few internships. I worked with the Covalent area CASA, with the Louisiana Dental Association, and with the World War II Museum. I can't stress internships enough. Now I am marketing support manager at the Hampton Inn, Hotel Suites of New Orleans, and Baton Rouge. It's 5 properties total. What else was this like? How do I get a job? Basically, reality check could probably apply for about 50 to 100 jobs off of Craigslist and not remember which job you apply for when they call you back. So I was very lucky to find this job, and I'm assuming I found it on Craigslist because I honestly can't tell you where I found it at. I don't remember. Reality check, it really is. But no, really just apply for everything. You'll apply for so many, and you probably only get a call back for a select handful. So apply like crazy.
My name is Claire Biggs. I work for MTV as a freelance writer right now. My first job out of college, Alicia and I graduated the same year in 2011. My first job I found through LinkedIn, like a random LinkedIn email. And then every single job or opportunity I've had after that has been through Twitter, which I can't stress enough. I mean, internships or Alicia's thing, Twitter is mine. I mean, I can't just, your experience while you're in the Manship school is very important. I mean, you were part of the Bateman team, your internships are very important. PRSSA is invaluable. But once you get out of the real world, you're going to realize what is really important. That's your experience in your current jobs. And people will like that you've had internship experience, but it's really what you've produced since graduating that's important.
Hi, I'm Hope Fuller, and I work at Covalent Logic. I graduated in June, and let's see, had a good bit of internships. I worked at the LSU Women's Center and Alzheimer's Services of the Capital area, and I worked in DC for a congressman, and then for a general here one semester, and then at Wright Tightly. I'm trying to remember the questions. I got my job. It's definitely applied to as many jobs as you can. I definitely would recommend. I did a ton of Craigslist and all that as well. But if you know where you want to work, what you want to do, just looking up firms, I found to be more effective in just contacting the people there rather than just applying to those Craigslist jobs and everything. And that's how I got my job at Covalent. I would recommend talking to people mostly. I mean, definitely applying to all the Craigslist and Careers to Go and just everything that you possibly can. And I had I tried a lot before getting a job and was lucky to get one in June. So right after graduation, so that was good.
Ready for me? My name is Patin. I work at Louisiana Lottery. I graduated from LSU in 2012. While at LSU, I interned at the Louisiana Real Estate Commission, and I heard about my first job from actually a coworker and a fellow graduate of Manship School, Candace O'Leary. She's the pink right there. Yeah. And as far as getting my first job, it was a long process, but I think when they gave me a phone call, they had read my entire blog and my Twitter account pretty thoroughly. So I can't stress that enough.
My name is McGehee. I'm an account associate at NOLA Media Group. That's, if you don't know what that is, it's NOLA.com's Baton Rouge office. The entire company is now merged into one. It's NOLA Media Group. I graduated in 2012 from the Manship School. While I was here, I had one official internship and one unofficial one. The unofficial was with the Sports Information Department here at LSU. I didn't really do a whole lot, just kind of watching, listening, and learning from them, the writers there. And I also interned at Marucci, baseball background, not PR related, kind of sports related, because that's what I like to do. I like those sports. Neither one of those, okay, the Marucci one really didn't count towards PR or anything like that. It just kind of gave me a general overview of what the real world was. And I think it was a valuable experience. My story is really no different than any of theirs. 100 applications, not all of them called. Some of them did, some of them weren't the right fit, some of them were for jobs for copier sales, office supply sales. But I was fortunate enough to land my job currently through my best friend's dad, who happens to be a higher up in the company. And I'm not saying that he gave it to me, but he did offer me the job based on what he's seen me before. So if I was just lazy and I didn't do anything, he wouldn't offer it to me. So I'm thankful that he saw it and gave it to me.
Okay, so this panel here today is to speak about PR advisory skills. What you need to know and develop in the management school, your internships and everything else before you graduate. So I guess the first skill we'll talk about is writing. How much writing do you guys do at your job? What types, what kind of writing do you do the most, the least? How important is AP style though?
Okay, hard truth. AP style is definitely important, especially when you're emailing anybody who's on the same level as you, any other PR, media. You definitely want to make sure your emails are consistent with AP style because it just gives you credibility. If you're not spelling something wrong and doing an AP style error, odds are they're going to take you a little bit less seriously. As far as AP style writing in my profession, the hospitality industry in New Orleans, I have not written one press release since I have been there. I do a lot of social media. Social media writing is very important. It's something you should definitely learn. You need to learn the Twitter lingo. You need to learn how to write on Facebook. If anybody here uses Google+, learn how to write on Google+. Social media writing is very, very important. You want to make sure your email etiquette is important, common sense. I would definitely also recommend learning how to write inter-office correspondence. It's a little bit different. You want to make sure you talk in correct language. You don't want to be too jargony because other people in the office might not understand media terminology, PR terminology, so that's really important. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting what
Oh, it's fine. No, you guys can talk about any aspect of writing you want, and if you don't have to go in order. You guys can just chime in if you guys agree with somebody else. Definitely
Okay.
just go off.
Well, don't get me wrong, AP style is really important, and if you worked with more of the media, which I unfortunately do not do a lot of interaction with the media, I don't really do that many press releases or fact sheets and things like that. So AP style is a great thing to have and a wonderful thing to know, but that's not what my job is really based on, is AP style.
I have not written one press release in the 2 years I've been graduated from the major, but I don't say that to scare you if you're not learning anything. I've written probably tens of thousands and Facebook updates, so that's just to throw that number out there, 0 to tens of thousands. I write for MTV right now. MTV is very specific for their audience and what they like. If anything, my posts get edited from, I'll give you some today. I wrote a British author bashed Kate Middleton in the media in a speech she gave and said she was classic and fake, and I wrote an article about these pro-social responsibilities Kate had, like my best friend Kate had taken. And they changed one of my lines to HAM, which I know HAM stands for, hard ass, mother effer. And so these are things that when I'm sitting down at the computer, I'm not going to send that to my editor. If they want to make that change, they can. So it's obviously, every single job is different. One thing that does not change is inter-office communication and how you communicate with your managers and your interns if you have interns. I think the best advice I ever got for email was, no matter how much of a rush you're in, always start with, hi, so-and-so, thanks, Claire, or thanks, whatever. It always keeps it professional. It'll help you calm down a minute if you get an email that upsets you, which there will be probably many emails that upset you that are asking you to do things last minute or blaming you for things that are not your fault. If that happens, it'll give you a second to calm down. My writing is I still pitch actually. I have to pitch everything I write for MTV, so it's a little different obviously than pitching the media because I'm just pitching my editors. It's obviously a lot more opinionated, and I'm not pitching on behalf of clients usually, unless I do represent a client. But it just really depends. I can't stress enough, if you write nothing but emails, that's fine, but you can write every single day, because that's the only way to get better at it.
I will be the pro AP book girl because I have to use AP style and have the book and consult it a million times a day, even though I've memorized a lot of it. But I do a lot of writing and just coordinating communications for a corporate client, and they're very specific. Everything has to be AP style. Let's see, I started out doing a lot of external communications for specifically a site created specifically for the press, but now I mostly concentrate on internal communications for our client, and we do websites, internal websites, newsletters and just other types of announcements. And so we have very specific language, and I do a lot of writing and a ton of editing and just coordinating communications. And so I definitely think writing is the most important part of, for what I'm doing, I guess, was one of the most important things I learned in AP style and all of that, because that's mostly my role these days. And I agree about the email. Definitely, we've been told that always give a citation in closing, be very professional. Obviously, spell check your emails a million times because it looks so bad if not. And yeah, so my role is not as much in social media writing right now, but corporate communications, which is really specific and everything. But I do a lot of writing.
Can't see it.
I'm sorry.
I'm a bit all over the place. I will break the mold and say that I do write at least one press release a week, sometimes 3. But at the lottery, we have a lot of winners, and people want to know about that, especially when it's regional. AP style has come back and got me after college, but it's important. It's an every day. And I would say that my boss is big on AP style, so we also do a retailer newsletter. Actually, anything that goes out to people is AP style. I mean, it's good for that. But I also do, I freelance for the Real Estate Commission, and I do their internal newsletter, and also their social media as well. And I think sometimes the most fun and biggest challenge is doing things in 140 characters or less. I really like everything when I do that. Yeah, as far as press releases, it's different for every job, but for ours,
I'm a little bit different, I guess, in the fact that I'm sales. I'm in front of people. I don't really have to write a lot, meaning the most I do is an email, and email etiquette is important. I find it thoroughly exhausting. I'm straight to the point and ready to go, but I have to put the hi and thanks. The other thing that I would have to say is that I do a lot of presentations. I build a lot of proposals and everything for our clients. It doesn't really require AP style. It's nice to know it when I can catch somebody else's proposal and it's not right. So I can edit that. It's just kind of a small paper here today. If I did have to write anything, I'm luckily in an office full of journalists, so I just shoot on over to their desk and have them edit. So kind of blessed there, but I'm not the best writer. Let's just leave it at that.
Very, very answered. So it just goes to show that's a long job. I know we had to take classes like BizCom, all that stuff, graphic design, learn how to use Adobe software. Do you guys do any of this stuff? Yes, no.
Like the last answer, it varies on the industry, it varies on the job. My particular company or set of hotels that I work for, we outsource a lot. I don't do any of my own design work. I outsource for all of my ads. I outsource, if I do need a press release, I outsource my press release. Like that's what we paid them for. It's in our budget, so we use them. As far as programs, I'd like to say I'd use InDesign, but a lot less than I did. InDesign, I think, is the most valuable program. That and Photoshop. Definitely learn them. It's a skill you lose, so when you stop using it for 6 months, you're going to open it back up and not remember to do anything. So definitely always use it. Just play around with it. If you don't have anything to do, definitely stay familiar with it. I know when the computers here, they're free. They're expensive programs to buy if you don't have one of your own computers. So if your company's going to bill for it, by all means, please do let us that. But I wish I could say I used it more, but that's
I have not touched Adobe Photoshop or InDesign since I graduated. I'm very happy about that. I'm a student that struggled through BizCom. Who did I have? Dr. Jane. It was a nightmare, but I don't use it, so I'm very thankful for that.
I use Photoshop a couple of times a day. I really don't have to use InDesign or the other programs. I used to use Photoshop a lot more earlier in my role, but I definitely think these are invaluable. Any internship or job I've had, they're just so impressed if you have knowledge of these programs. And really, I was so mad that we take that BizCom class so early on because you completely forget it all. And I really just, even senior year, junior year, and internships, I was wishing I could remember it more and wish I had taken some kind of update course, because I really think people are just impressed, and just little things throughout the day. It's fine, we have designers and everything, but it's just really impressive if you can up and go messing in design or Photoshop and create something. And I know some people that graduated in PR and they're now doing design for magazines and newspapers because they just learned how to incorporate that in their role as well. And I definitely think it's a great tool to have.
I use Photoshop quite a bit. Like I said, we work with a lot of winners, and so we have a graphic design team. We're part of the marketing department of the lottery, and we have a graphic design team, but they have a lot going on. They're doing a lot of other things. So if it's PR related, a lot of times me or Natalie will actually kind of edit our own pictures. We'll kind of even for internal stories, a lot of times we're left with the editing, and sometimes the photographing. Like if it's a winner, we photograph it. If it's something happening internal, we photograph it, and then we have to take it and we kind of do all of it. So we use Photoshop quite a bit. I would say the knowledge of that, but I mean really Photoshop outside of class. I mean if you play with it long enough, you're gonna learn by doing. And as far as in-design, with my freelance for the real estate commission, I do use it every month for their monthly newsletter, because it just, like the attention to detail that Adobe provides is something that Microsoft has not matched yet, and I think that attention to detail is really important, especially as a,
I'd like to add that Lester can make a killer infographic. If you really enjoyed it, as far as the class of 2015 or 2010, whichever one it is, which I did, and you're somewhat good at it, I wouldn't say you have to be awesome at it, but proficient enough to do something in any of the programs. That's really good resume padding, because a 60-year or 65-year-old lady can put on her resume proficient in Microsoft Word. Everybody is, but not a whole lot of people can put on their resume proficient in Adobe Photoshop or InDesign and stuff like that. So I'm not saying to do it if you can move a picture and resize it. If you can do some more stuff in it, that's a good thing to have on it. Like I said, I built a lot of proposals, so that was something that I had to request when I got my company laptop, is that I wished I needed to have that kind of stuff on there. So when I'm building a proposal for anybody, if I needed to resize it, edit it, whatever, I had it there. So it is something that I use on a weekly basis. I wouldn't say daily, but I would say weekly. And it's definitely something that can help out in your job search. Probably wouldn't set you apart, but it goes a long way.
Just for stories, to the media. Some of our younger, we have a lot of younger members this year, and they don't really understand what that entails exactly. And I know a lot of different places have different styles of pitching. Like when I first started, I thought pitching was standing up in front. This is what we do for you, pay us type of thing. But working at Right Privately, they don't really do it like that. But so I was just wondering if you guys have had experience doing that.
I'm not going to say if I've had experience at it. I'm going to say from the other side of what we want to hear. Again, I can't speak for the journalist, but I can say be short, be concise, get to the point, don't add filler, because timeliness is the news value. It's important. The story needs to go out. We had a breaking story about the police chief getting fired. It needed to go out immediately, so that's just one of the things. You've got to be short and concise with information.
I actually spoke with my boss about this. We had a conversation about this today. As far as pitching the media, from the lottery's perspective, a lot of times, people want to know where these big winners are, and they want to know information about them. But that's part of the thing, is they want to know the stories about the people. If we launch a news release tomorrow saying that we launched 3 new scratch-offs, nobody's going to pick that up. Nobody cares. But if we tell a story about how our brand impacted somebody's life or something like that, and we get to talk about our brand for a little while, then that's something that's probably going to get picked up. And another thing that we've discovered, is you kind of have to think like a journalist in being a public relations professional, because journalists, their industry is changing much more than ours, and much quicker. And they're having to do more with less tools, and they're having to do more with fewer people. And that being said, they don't have a lot of time, I don't think, to necessarily sit through all these stories and all these things and kind of filter through, unless it's a really big story. So if we have a smaller story, I mean, it's very important to pay attention to AP style. It's very important to pay attention to that photo caption, and it's very important to make sure that you have that story correct and that you have that headline to where it's going to catch somebody's attention, because there's a chance that they're going to take that story and paste it right on their website, and that's great for you as well, because I mean, you wrote it about your brand, and it went straight to the website. But you do need to make sure that that it is a great story that they would be comfortable with just putting straight to the website, and make it easy for them. We also add a picture. We've learned that a picture is very important. Even if you don't have a picture to provide, get something stock and stick it on that email and send it to them.
I'm not currently pitching to the media. That's not really involved in my role right now, but I've had a little bit of experience with internships and creating tons of media lists, tons of time on those. And I'm trying to think, one time we sent little teddy bears to the media and just little things like that. I think we, one time in a past internship, also sent cookie cakes with clever messages just to remember our event or just whatever we were working on during the time. And so I think it's just something to let them remember the point you're trying to get across. And I think they kind of wrapped it up, but yeah, just absolutely keep everything just aesthetically pleasing and concise, brief, and just, yeah.
I think you have two different skills, and correct me if anyone has a different one, but you were never going to pitch through Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or any kind of social channel like that unless you were very good friends with the person that you're pitching to. And you have different kinds of consider. If you have a product as opposed to a person, like a celebrity or someone you're representing, you can't get really anyone to come and show that product on television unless it's the host of the show, if that makes sense. So whereas, maybe when Steve Jobs was at Apple, or maybe he could come up and do with Apple, but if you have an expert in your field, you can book a media appearance or handle. When you have a product, you're really only looking at certain different things or to get to slideshows, so you kind of have to know your audience there. My background was celebrity PR for my internship experience, so it's very much, your interviews are more red carpet or morning news show, the early show, the Today Show. So it really just depends what you're looking for. For MTV right now, I work with my editor, so it's very interesting to be on the opposite side and get pitches from people who represent celebrities or from shows or from nonprofits to see how, I'm like, I fully understand what you're doing and things, and I will respond to you because you'll send out a million pitches whenever you're working and you won't hear back for half of them if you're lucky. So just be cognizant of who you're talking to. Double check and triple check your email addresses to make sure you're talking to the correct person, because there's nothing worse than emailing Hopeful or Covalent and Hope's been gone for 2 years and you didn't update your media list, and that's just embarrassing for everybody. And you're not ever going to see that email. So just be cognizant of who you're pitching to.
I definitely agree with Claire as far as you pitch to your audience. I pitch in two different senses. The first would be to clients. I deal a lot with big citywide conventions. Everybody I've noticed when you go to New Orleans convention centers, people walking everywhere. I know y'all are in Baton Rouge, so it's a little ways away. But anytime you have a big citywide convention, they normally stay at a few of our properties. And to go to those people that run those conventions, be like, oh, well, you should stay with us because X, Y, and Z. You need to know your audience, know who you're pitching to, know their background, do your research prior, know what you're talking about and who you're talking to. And then also, as far as pitching to your boss, just for anything that you want to do, whether it's permission to do this or you want to try something new or do it a different way, you definitely need to know how to pitch to your coworkers or your higher ups in your company. I'm very fortunate to be very close with my employer. I've been there for a short time, only 2 years in May, and I absolutely love it. I have no desire to go anywhere else. We have a very open relationship, so I can literally just open the door and be like, hey, would you mind if I did this? And she's like, oh yeah, that's fine. So I had that relationship, and it's fantastic. Now if I want to do something a little bit different, I need to go to somebody else within my organization to ask for their permission. It's a little bit more formal. I've prepared what I wanted to say in advance. I know what I want to ask for. I know what the repercussions are going to be. I know it's going to cost us anything. If it backfires, what is it going to do to us? Like, I have to have all this planned out. Like, just definitely be aware of who you're pitching to and
idol when I first was like 3 years ago, 2010, was Elizabeth Holmes with the Wall Street Journal. I found all of her articles online. I used to get the Wall Street Journal sent to my house in Lake Charles and would read it every day, save her articles. I followed her on Twitter. I met her at a couple of events, introduced myself, interacted with her on Twitter, nothing like stalkerish or anything. I really like this article. Everyone read this article by this person. Love what you're doing. It's been, I think, 2 or 3 years since I talked to her. We haven't met person since, but she needed a quote in the Wall Street Journal in June, and she called me because she knew something that I was doing on Twitter, and I was quoted in the Wall Street Journal. Like, there are things that, like, she can't benefit me in any way right now because I'm not pitching anything for fashion and vice versa. But these are relationships you're building just to say, when they think of Hampton or when they think of Bates for in New Orleans, they should think of Alicia. You're just kind of being on the forefront of that. And even just showing your appreciation of a brand, in case you ever need to work with a brand, like I have been following Donna Karen's Senior Vice President of PR, Alicia, for a few years now, and she follows me now. So anytime they need something, or they're including normal people that aren't celebrities in their information, that's a way that you get in that no one else has access to, and that's very important. So just showing appreciation or complimenting them on their work, which is a huge thing, because you'll get a lot more. I mean, you don't, outside of your bubble of your job, you might get positive feedback from your boss. It's nice to hear it from them.
As far as being in an area, in New Orleans, so NOLA.com is huge in New Orleans. It's kind of speaking here. You also have Advocate now. That's a totally different story. But NOLA.com. So I definitely want to make sure I have a great relationship with them in case, like, one of our hotels just underwent a huge renovation. I said earlier, I don't write press releases, I source them out. But if I'm close with anybody that's writing for NOLA.com in the MTV Act, I use Twitter a lot. I do what I call a power hour on Twitter, where every morning when I get in, I'll pull up NOLA.com, I'll find like the trending news articles on NOLA.com, and I'll give a quick little something about the news, like check out NOLA.com article on this, and I'll retweet a lot of their photos, and I'm always giving shout outs to NOLA.com. And I've had them retweeted people as well, so that relationship is starting to work. Another thing is networking events. You want to go to as many networking events as possible. You know who's going to be there. There's free ones, there's ones you get paid for. I'm a board member on the NOLA chapter, so we have used the Advocate NOLA.com came in wanted to discuss about the Advocate coming into New Orleans. And that's a great way to meet them right there and foster that relationship, especially since it's a new organization in the city. There's like Women in Wine Wednesdays, something like that. The Chamber of Commerce has events. The New Orleans Visitors Bureau has events. Go to as many events as you can. You never know who you're going to see there. It will not always be the same faces. Somebody that can benefit you down the road.
I mean, the only thing I can add is to agree with, I couldn't see as far as networking and events, I mean, it is a big thing, it is a big deal. I think we started doing it, Candace and I started doing it like senior year of college. We started going to all these events, and we still continue that today. I mean, even if they're not necessarily journalists, they're wonderful connections to have. And I mean, I met you as well, so and that's why I'm here tonight. So that was a great connection. I mean, every single one of them, we always meet at least 1 or 2 awesome people that they're connections to have. So.
All right, so on to I can't say the word, strategic planning. There we go. We had to, implement this in our PR campaigns classes and just learning it over time. We learned, SWOT analysis, all these types of things. How do you guys go about, planning campaigns that your job? Do you work more individually, team oriented? And like, how do you delegate tasks for a project?
It's with us on the sales side, it's kind of one-on-one. We do what's called a needs analysis, where we go to a client, salespeople go to a client, and they sit down with them. They bring a proposal, they show what we can do and what we can do for them, and how we can increase their market share or their presence in the area or whatever they need. We sit down with them, we talk to them about it, and we see what they want, what they really need. We try to help them through it, because a lot of people want to be all over the website all day long, all month long. You don't have $5 million to spend. You can't do that. You have to spend $2,000 and get the same result. So it's strategic planning in that regard. They have to sit down and know what the client wants to do before they go in. They have to have an idea of what's going on first. Other than that, the SWOT analysis and all that,
I have recently taken over the social media promotion for the Louisiana Lottery, and I'm still figuring out exactly how to make it work best for me as far as the brainstorming process and things like that. Currently, I usually turn to Candace and Natalie for a lot of help. I've definitely, I think it's important, and I remember, through PR campaigns here, you learn the strengths of your coworkers, and so you kind of know who to turn to for certain things. I know Candace is phenomenal in coming up with names for things. I can tell you that I can write a copy about it all year long. I can pitch it. I can make you believe it, but I cannot make it. And for some reason, Candace has the knack for that, so I always turn to her first, usually when it comes to getting promotions. And so it is a little bit of working with others and then working with myself. I wouldn't say that I work in a big group. We do that occasionally at the lottery, and it yields great results. I mean, we actually won an award at the PRSSA Awards last week, I think, for our Christmas campaign, which was basically we had a scotch off with Ebenezer Scrooge on it, and so our whole Facebook campaign for Christmas was basically from taking over our Facebook. And it was kind of nasty on our Facebook for about 3 or 4 days until we finally kind of took it back from them. But that involved a lot of brainstorming from the communications team. We just all sat down one day and just spitballed and kind of built on each other's ideas, I guess. But I definitely think it's important to recognize the strengths of your coworkers and know when to turn to who for what you're looking for. That makes sense.
Yeah, I do a lot of teamwork as well, really closely with one other person, and we just collaborate and share thoughts all day, even on just minor things like emails. Is this the right tone? Do you think we should ask this? And I think it's so important, and I enjoy working with someone else. We also have a little bit of a larger team as well. As far as strategic planning, I was in charge of our social media. We also did a Christmas campaign, so that involved a good bit of strategic planning. But as far as my daily role in strategic planning, we do just always be aware of your client and trends that will affect your client, and we just are always trying to research on what's going to be up and coming on trends that will affect our client, and just always a lot of research is involved there. Just a lot of trends, up-and-coming trends in the industry that our clients in, and we also create an editorial calendar for some things. So I definitely strategic planning is.
I think it depends on a lot of what kind of work you want to do. If you're thinking about going into business for yourself, I don't know if you know, if you're working as your own consultant and you're working with different clients, you will probably have to spearhead a lot of things yourself. Honestly, you may not be working with a team unless you have an intern or someone that you're in partnership with. When you start out at a company, a lot, especially as an intern, a lot of your campaigns will just be handed down and you will only handle part of that. I think my first job ever, any internship, was I had to find a hotel in LA in the middle of June for 2 hours and book the pool for free for a celebrity client to get press there. And so like those are things that I obviously didn't come up with that. I would probably never think come up with that. I'm from Louisiana. I don't know how things work in LA in theory. So you just think of one aspect and you start out. As far as strategic planning in my current role, anything that keeps me writing for MTV is strategic planning on my part as far as that's concerned. I don't know if any of y'all watch, speaking of trends, I don't know if any of y'all watch Pretty Little Liars, that television show y'all watch. It's like my one guilty pleasure, and it's one of the most social hours of television that is currently on TV right now. Meaning most tweets, their Facebook page is 10 million followers, things like that. A lot of stars are on the cover of Entertainment Weekly next week. I don't know that because I'm a super fan. I know that because I'm paying attention. And I got MTV to pay me to cover Pretty Little Liars every week, which means I get to sit in front of my TV for 45 minutes, watch Pretty Little Liars, write about it, and then I get to go big. So things like that that you might be thinking like marginally how can this improve my life in some way. Always pay attention. Things that will affect your client or you. Obviously, if you're in the hospitality industry and there's some kind of scandal, or I have a friend who represents a few hotels in New York, and some journalists went to a pool and tested their pool and found fecal matter, and that was a huge scandal for them. You know, I mean, just things you won't even think you have to worry about, you will. So just always have a contingency plan or backup plan of some sort if you can.
I think that knowing how to run a PR campaign, knowing the background, footwork, all that is definitely a great skill to have. And even though if you don't use that in your position that you find outside of college, it still will be the foundation for smaller projects, whether it's your social media, okay? What's your broad plan for your social media? What's your goal? And then you can plan that from there. Your day-to-day goals might be different based on what's going on in your industry, what happened today, what's going on in the news. So day-to-day things can be different, but your the broader picture will be the same. As far as planning for crisis, like Claire was saying, they actually had somebody that wrote a book about hotels in New Orleans. You call them hoteliers. He worked in the hotel business for years and years and years. Finally retired and finally writing a book about it. Well, scandalous book I've ever read in my life. All the inner workings of the hotel, things that he thought to be true, other people never thought of. What do you do when you go into your room and there's bed bugs in the hotel? Like different things that you never think of. So that was a big thing in New Orleans was, okay, well, this book just came out. Is this all New Orleans hotels or is this just the one that he mentioned? So everybody starts calling like the lead of this here hotel. What about this? Do you do this? I'm not sure if you made attention. They had the locks at hotels. There's that nationwide. There's one brand of locks with a swipe card. Well, they were easy to pick. And I was going around picking all the locks, getting in, and these locks were in just about every hotel in the country. So the big thing was lock safe. It's just ways to combat those negative issues. You always have to have an answer. Work for a large brand that's nationwide. They're going to send down a plan. If they call you, this is what you say. I know you'll all heard that in your classes before. So you'll have a plan down response. It's smaller, privately owned, bed and breakfast, and you have to make your own. Get them plan for everything. So it's definitely very important.
And I think that's, I don't know if anyone's worked with any personalities, but I think that might even be double fold whenever you have a celebrity client or someone that's famous out there, because you obviously cannot control what a person is going to do with their day-to-day behavior. I mean, I worked at, it must have been 3 or 4 years ago when like one of the first pictures of young celebrities like smoking pot came out, and he represented one of my company I worked for, represented one of them. I mean, that job is literally 24/7 on the weekends. At night, you are calling people. You need to figure out what media organization you're going to talk to first, and who you're going to give an excuse to, and how you're going to minimize the damage, and how that's going to affect our future work. I mean, it increases so much, and then with no one has to do, we should just totally use business. You just kind of need to plan out, figure out what's going to be, what's the worst possible thing that can happen to you and your business, and then plan for it. And hope it doesn't happen.
I kind of want to touch on ethics today. In my ethics class, we actually have a really good book. I'm like not gonna lie, it's actually pretty informative, and it's geared towards new PR professionals. You know, if you're entering the job, we're not going to encounter an ethics problem that somebody with 20 years of experience may encounter. So if you guys encounter any ethical problems, you know, at your work, have you helped solve one?
I have, and it's been recently, within the last month. Part of my job description is to provide reporting for the clients and advertisers that we currently have, as far as how many times their ads have run and how many clicks per day and everything like that. And that also means that I need to provide a screenshot so they know that their ad actually ran on the website. Well, our website's got 1.7 million unique users a month. So that's a lot of traffic, 43 million page views. That's a lot of traffic. It's a lot of pages to try and find one screenshot. So I went to my boss and I said, can I just take their creative and just stick it on there? And a screenshot, Photoshop, whatever. He said, no, that's actually fraud. So if I had actually done that, I probably would have gotten fired. But luckily he called me before I was able to do it. So that's my ethical dilemma or ethical story for today.
Mine is a great king cake dilemma. The Mardi Gras 2013. And although we're a corporation, all our stock is owned by the state. So we're quasi-governmental, which means we still kind of adhere to the rules of Louisiana government to a degree. That being said, recently there were some changes that were swept over, and I don't know if it sticks to relations in general, but as far as accepting gifts, we can only accept gifts if it's in a meeting. And it can't be a meeting, it can be food, basically. And we can accept it in the meeting if we all open it at the meeting. If it's not a meeting setting, then we can't accept the gift. And they're actually, they do enforce it, of course. Somebody who sponsored actually sent a king cake to Ms. Obey for just to thank her for helping out and with the sponsorship and everything. And unfortunately, she ended up calling me. Sorry guys, I can't accept this king cake. I mean, it was in our hands, and we couldn't eat it. We could look at it. I mean, we could just like a jazz funeral for it, but we could not accept this king cake. And so that's been the hardest thing, but at the same time, meeting with them, apparently it's okay. So.
That's good. I have quite a few. Yeah, I have a couple. I mean, we could talk for days. I think it's different. Alicia will definitely have some more corporate examples. If you work in any kind of company that has any kind of high-profile client or any kind of business with a ton of money or any kind of stock, you will sign a confidentiality waiver, and you need to read those front, back, and center, save a copy for yourself and the date you signed it. You cannot log, tweet, take a picture with a person. I mean, we talked about this, but take a picture with someone. You need to remember at all times that you are professional. And, I mean, red carpet event at someone's house, event at museum. I mean, no matter where you are, your job is not to be a fan. Your job is to secure the press or to handle the red carpet interview or to do whatever it is that you're there to do. My first internship, which lasted exactly 48 hours, I walked in and they offered me a beer. I was 19. I was like, suckers, I'm not doing this. And I mean, even just my last job, I'm 23 now, and if you're under 21, you cannot be at an event where alcohol is like Patron. And so I was at an event where Patron was responsible when I was 19. You can't legally be at events like this. So you kind of have to be like, I can't be here. I need to take myself away. And if your manager has a problem with that, then that's something you need to discuss. Things you would never even think you have to worry about. Alcohol use. I don't drink at any work events. I mean, that's just a personal preference. Even though I'm single under teenage now, you do not want any coffee they drink in your hand because they crisis. I have a friend who owns her own care firm in New York who represents a club. She's had murders at her club. You need to be like on call 24/7 in some sense of what your job is. You don't want to be in any kind of situation where you might be drinking and driving. You have to get somewhere. I mean, in New York it's different. You can call a cab, but you're at home and you need to get to the hotel and you've been drinking. Things like that. Corporate companies, everyone has their own set of ethical problems in corporate companies. I worked for a company that was a joint venture between a company in Paris that is 11 years old now and American Express. These two huge companies. Make sure that your contracts are legal. That sounds silly, but just make sure everything in your contract, what you've been promised on the phone or in person, is reflected in your contract. If this is not in the contract, you will not get what you were promised on the phone. Huge lesson. Negotiate your contract if you can't, because you're being underpaid or if you think it's not being fair. Most people, I heard talk about this today, it's just like a salary thing, and I didn't understand this when I first got out of school. You are promised, most people promise a salary, and there in your head you're thinking you're working 40 hours a week, maybe 25 if you're working a lot. One of my first jobs, I was paid a salary. I worked 75 hours a week. Your salary doesn't change to reflect that. And even though we were told we were paid overtime, we weren't getting paid overtime. So just protect yourself the best you can, because you will be left vulnerable. And there's no one to bill those extra hours to. You're just spending your life at the office at that point. So you kind of need to set personal ethical guidelines for yourself, things you will not compromise and do in your job, and that what people will ask you to do. Do not accept gifts ever if you can avoid it. I mean, if someone says something to you, I mean, you just don't want to be in trouble for that later. Just protect yourself. I mean, it's most of the things that you don't want to get caught doing something you shouldn't be doing or something that you thought was okay and it's not. I mean, there are a million examples I could give you. Feel free to email me. Not actually really talking about here.
In hospitality, it's a little bit different. You're in the schmoozing business, essentially. When you schmooze your clients, people that stay with you a lot and you give them good rates, they're going to schmooze you right back. They want to budget for giving gifts, all within reason. If I make West Money car, that's great. King cakes, we go and get king cakes for our clients all the time, and I'm so sorry if we ever sent you a king cake. But we king cakes for our clients all the time during Mardi Gras. We at least one roll in the office at least once a day, the entire Mardi Gras season. We're right there in the crowd. As far as gifts, just with it, everything within reason, of course, nothing too extreme. As far as confidentiality, they're not in our hotel, don't want any other hotel. Justin Bieber was just in town for a concert, and bless his heart, he took the pot in his room, and the employee found out, spit it to the press ran with it, employee stopped to take a photo with Justin Bieber, employee was fired, like, just sign a confidentiality agreement and go with it. Professionalism. I thought myself was a huge no-no one time. We get a lot of crew that stay at our hotels, not necessarily talent. And we had a crew member that his name was John Cena. And I thought they meant John Cena, the wrestler. So me and another employee are running around the hotel trying to find John Cena, and then halfway down the stairs, what are we doing? We need to go back to our office. So just check yourself every now and then. No,
You can fangirl on your own time with your friends later.
Yes, put behind office doors with your coworker, so be it, that's fine. You don't know where to find yourself. Let's see what else. Quite a few things. Today we do a lot with money in the hotel, contracts for rooms, meeting space, conventions, conferences. Some of our clients will get space for free based on how many room nights they stay with us. Others, at the sliding scale, will have to pay a percentage, not the entire thing. One client had to pay a percentage, and she marked her form. She did the math on her own, and the math was wrong. She was way higher than she should have found out. She was like, why didn't you correct me? Bad business. You never know who she's going to go pay that to. We have to refund her money. It just looks awful. So always be honest. Don't. You might think you're getting out on top, but in the end, it's just karma is bad thing. So it's going to go back to bite you in the butt. So definitely check yourself.
And don't ever, I mean, I can't say this, but don't ever speak poorly of someone, even if they've run you over and spit on you on the way. That job, that internship I had where they offered me a beer and it lasted 48 hours, my manager at that job was best friends with my manager at the other internship I currently had in the city at the same time. My manager at that internship was my boss 3 years later in a different company in New York. You have no idea how many people are stranded, who grew up with who. I mean, you would be surprised. We run into the same, I mean, that is a city with 7 million people. I run into the same city everywhere. Same people everywhere I go.
Especially if you want to get into hospitality is huge in the world. Anybody that's looking for a job in New Orleans, hospitality is ginormous and it's just growing. Like, there's perfect job security in my opinion. As far as never know who you're going to run into, hoteliers are there for life. They're at one hotel or another. You never know who you're going to run into, like Claire said. If you have an employee who you're not get along with, if you leave that company, you go to interview for another one, like, oh, well, this person, and you name drop, you know, did such and such because I didn't get along. That's a little bad on you, especially if you know who that person is. So you can always say, I just didn't have a good relationship with a coworker, or one of my superiors and I did not see eye to eye on certain things. Just leave it politely, don't need to know the nitty-gritty details, and it'll look better on you that you're not trash talking because they don't know that you won't bring that to their office.
Touch on what you said about the salary and working a long work week. It was actually brought up to me by my boss not too long ago. People are going to take advantage of the fact that you're 21, 22, 23, you don't have kids, you don't have a wife in most cases, whatever. So they're going to take advantage of you. Oh, those reports didn't even come on. You're going to stay too late. That's cool. They're going to try to take advantage of that, and that's something that you can't let them do. The story was told. He told me the story. He said back when he was in college 10 or 15 years ago, he had one of those real old school bosses. He said, "Oh, you don't want to stay late at work tonight? Well, it looks like I just have to find somebody to do it. That's illegal." And you can be quick to point that out. So there's not a lot of people that will do that now, but there are some guys and some women that will do it and really be a hard ass about it. So you have to kind of be on top of that and set real strict guidelines.
And I can't stress enough, it is completely illegal for someone to sexually harass you at work. I mean, I've never had this happen in my corporate job in the past years. I mean, if that literally ever happens to you, contact me and I will raise a call for you if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself. There are people you can report to anonymously if something with finances or with sexual harassment or any kind of ethical problem out of work does happen. Hopefully you do have an HR department. I mean, even with salaries, you find out what questions employees are and are not allowed to ask. They cannot ask you if you are married. They cannot ask you if you have children. They cannot ask you what you made at your previous job. They can ask you for a range. They can ask you if you will move somewhere. Find out what they can and can't ask you and just protect yourself, because you will get screwed in that situation. You will take advantage of you. And you're going to be stuck in these positions and you won't be able to negotiate your way out of that after you sign a contract.
There, depending on the position, depending on if it's corporate or a firm, or if you're freelancing, weigh the benefits of salary versus hourly. Salary is fantastic, but it comes with some cons. The hourly is, you might say, okay, well, salary sounds way better. I can work less than 40 hours a week, just living the same amount versus working 40 hours a week. Right. But and a lot of times you don't have the option to choose for the hourly salary, it just kind of comes with the position. But take that into consideration when you're looking for a job, especially if it's at an agency where you're going to work more than 40 hours a week guaranteed. So take that into consideration when you're looking for a position.
It's about that time to open up questions. You guys have questions for me?
I just want to point out before I ask my question that these people are a year and 2 years out of college, and look at how much knowledge they have. These, as Mallory said, are the living legends, and this is going to be you very soon. So push through your classes. I didn't think I was going to graduate this semester, and I am. So just really push forward, and if you're having a bad day, there's someone that you can talk to. Please talk to me. I want to know way more people in PRSSA than I already do. But I have a email etiquette question. I work for the ALS Association, and we don't have a lot of media relationships. They'll pick us up because we're a disease and people should know about it. But I don't have any real connections to get us on the news or anything like that. So when pitching press releases or something like that, there's been debates recently between, I guess, new and old people in PR. Should you attach your press release in your email or put the press release in the body?
I was literally reading emails myself attachment. I'm like that all that's like the new media person. Don't, if you ever email me, don't attach anything for me. I guess we should slide it through.
I think both. Twofold, because some companies, especially big corporate companies, attachments are a potential virus. So a lot of times your email might be kicked out because of an attachment, might be marked as spam. Some companies don't allow to open any attachment, especially if it's not a recognized attachment. I say both because you are going to always encounter people that are new and old. So you never know which one you're going to get unless you have that relationship with that person and know the style you prefer. So that's why I say both, because you have the potential to see, oh, it's in the body, I'm just going to pull it out right there, or for attachment is already there as well. And you can always mention in your email, it's going to be at the bottom of my email, or it's an attachment as well in case you prefer in that form. That's just my personal opinion, but I mean, everybody's different. Always ask the journalists, how do you prefer to get information? Some people, you might have to my point of view, some people they're really old school fax it to you. If you know their preference, they're more likely to pick it up.
That's very true. Also, just a way of making media contacts, I don't know really what it is in that reason, because I've been here 2 years, but if there's someone you admire in a certain field and you have a way to get in contact with them, try to establish a relationship outside of you asking for something. Like, that sounds really basic, and people let you say, oh, hey, I noticed you tweet about this thing, but I happen to put it out. Have you been to the coffee shop? Things that sound silly will take a little bit of time out of you. You will be that go-to person if they need anything. If they need to run a well story, or they need to run about a charity, they will know you, and they will go to you. And it's just it's one less thing that it's less work that they have to do because there is a relationship there. It's just like one easy to do. I mean, I'm very anti-attachment, just to answer your question. But I work with three companies that you can open.
I can see the pros and cons to both. We're mostly attachments with brokers and stuff like that, and it's a lot of inter-office correspondence. I am the absolute worst at attaching things. I will immediately hit send, no attachment, and I cannot stress how much that aggravates me. But if you use Google, it says I see attached, but you forgot to. So it is. But then again, if you don't get a response from the journalist or whoever you're trying to send it to, or you get a spam notification, whatever it is, you can go back, or if you don't get the response, follow up 2 days later and say, hey, I was just checking this, and then you might be able to add whatever you have in the text body. So it can kind of go both ways with that.
I mean, on my end, we always put it in the body. I'm just as bad as Marcus with attaching things. The only reason I remember every time to attach a picture to a press release is because I don't get a second chance. We have a lot of journalists that we send our stuff out to because we send it out to the entire state. That's 6 different regions with, I couldn't tell you how many journalists we send our stuff out to. So really, we get one shot to send it out and to make sure. I was teasing Natalie yesterday because she kept saying, okay, are you sure it's good? Are you sure it's good? Because we had a $2 million winner coming in, and everybody was already asking, we were like already ready chomping at the bit to get this information out. So yeah, I mean, really, you don't want to overload your newsfeed if you're really sending a lot of releases, so you don't want to send them a blank release, and that would kind of not be good. So the only thing that we really attach are the images themselves. It's just easy. They can pull it up in their thing, and we use a basic. I don't know if it makes a difference. We use a really basic email system, so when it sends it out, they can just copy and paste it, stick it in a website, and go. I mean, it's done. I've even seen it before where they've copied and pasted the whole thing, took out the pound sign at the bottom, left the photo caption at the bottom, and stuff the picture on the top, and just went with it. Because that's where we usually attach the photo caption. So I'm for putting it in there as far as attachment.
Real quick about email etiquette. I'm not sure, it depends on the company what kind of email system you use, but Outlook has this really amazing feature called retract. Now, if you retract an email, it might sound fantastic. Oh, I forgot to send an attachment, or I sent it to the wrong person, or I addressed it to the wrong person. You can retract that email. Please note it will send that person an email saying, so-and-so has retracted their email. They won't be able to open that email, but they will know that you retracted it. So you look even more dumb. Do not retract an email. Send an email back, my apologies, I forgot the attachment. I'm sorry, I was looking at something else when I typed my salutation. Please accept my apologies. Apologize, address the error, don't ever retract.
Well, and also retraction only works if they have it in the email, right, too. So you can retract it in if they've already opened it.
Okay, my question is, what would be the best advice that you get, or best life lesson or experience that you got at your current job or at undergrad, and what would you give to us as a life lesson or advice?
Don't get discouraged in that job search. That's kind of something that I had to live with during my job search, is that so many, I would call them rejections, but you've never heard back from a lot of people. You just got to keep at it, no matter how many you stand out. It doesn't. It's about the one that says yes. And I would also say be very, very transparent with your presence on the internet. Whoever can find you. If you go to my Facebook profile, you can look at all of my pictures, anything you want, my information, all of that. Then you can see all that. That's about it. The same with whatever other presence I'm on LinkedIn. I don't think I really do anything on that. I don't do anything on Twitter either. So I have a personal philosophy that if you're a good person, it's going to shine through, and people are going to see that for themselves. So just be honest with whoever you're talking to and who you are.
I definitely agree with Marcus on the don't be discouraged aspect. I mean, I think we all went through it. We just applied for the job, but and it was about the one that said yes, or the one that came back to us. And again, as far as being online and being present and being transparent, you're going into an industry where transparency is becoming more and more important as technology is getting more and more progressed. People want to be able to basically see through your business, or they can get that information as quick as they want, and they want transparency, complete transparency. I mean, we've all seen the disasters of the art crisis where they weren't transparent enough quick enough, and I mean, it can really screw the business. That being said, as a professional that's going into an industry that basically forces businesses to be transparent, you should be transparent. Especially online, I think it's, I probably been teased before because I don't quite understand the privacy thing, and like but I mean, if you type in Les Patin on Google, you're gonna find me. I'm on like 5 different sites, and I'm wide open. I'm an open book. I even heard one time an HR manager complained that she was like, "Why would you know, apply for a job and then I go to search for you and your Twitter account is private? She couldn't see it." And I will say that Twitter, our HR manager at Louisiana Lottery started following me before she can give me a phone call. So I think that's very important. And to backtrack a little bit more, definitely define yourself professionally. That's the biggest thing that I learned at the Manship school. I remember you guys taking Shipka, or Shipka definitely like pushed it, you know. And at first I was dreading it. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about myself. But I learned to, and I learned who I was professionally, what I had to offer, and I was able to put that out there on social media, through my blog, through Twitter, and they hired powers that be found it. They were able to find it easily, and they were able to see what I was all about, and I didn't have to apologize for anything or anything.
Oh, yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, just experience, just as much experience as you can get is just, even not to discourage GPA, but it's just, to me, in the experiences I've had and employers talking is just so much more important even than GPA and school activities, just internships and work experience, not only for just listing them out on your resume, but the connections you make and just actually learning to provide services and actually do things is just so important, much more than the other things that we focus on so much.
I guess one of what they said, you are your personal brand, and that is 24/7, and it sounds cheeky because we're not personalities in the sense of being on television or having a strong media presence unless you do. That doesn't go away, that is searchable online. Even things like, I don't know how y'all Google yourself, you should do it at least once before you graduate. You Google Claire Biggs without an M, there's a woman in England who murdered her child named Claire Biggs, and that is why everything with me is written in Claire M. Biggs. Things like this you want to even like think you have to worry about in real life. Your personal the best advice I can give you is something I struggle a lot with. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. It doesn't matter how old you are or what anyone else has done. I have peers at my age that have book deals, that have agency book deals, that are running their own companies, that have gotten to quit their full-time jobs to pursue their passions. I mean, people run the gamut, and you're going to be at highs in your life and other lows, and vice versa. And it's going to be hard to struggle with not feeling fulfilled in your job while you see your friends have certain successes. Just make sure that you are always doing the best you can to be the best friend and colleague and employee and just peer, because these people are going to